Hello, everybody. Mauricio Garcia here. I want to thank you for choosing to be with us this morning in this Conquistador Podcast once again, where we talk about the things that really help us to excel in business. You know, every single day I get the opportunity to speak with a great mind, a great leader, a great mentor who's my friend, my partner in business, Mr. Hubert Humphrey, to whom I salute this morning. Hubert, how are you?
Doing great. Good to be with you.
You know, excited for today's topic because yesterday we talked about one of the many codes that the modern day Alexanders need to live by if we want to stand a chance to be able to go out there and conquer our future. And one of the things that really got my attention in your book, there's this quote, maybe I think it's by Alexander the Great. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it's basically say, and I'd like to begin today's podcast with that he said, "I'll never forget the world is my eminent domain." And if you chose to put that in your book, it's for a big reason. And I want you to please elaborate how that made, it's a building block to the things you've done in the past and the things that the current leaders are doing.
Well, the reason why it's in the book is that it was I tried to, as I studied the life of Alexander, I chose that and wanted our guys to become modern day Alexanders. And a lot of you may or may not know the story of how I came up with all this. Is one, I love history, but I found a copy of a book way back in the mid '80s that it was just about to come out called The Alexander Complex by Michael Meyer. And it was taking 4 or 5 big businessmen like Carl Icahn, T. Boone Pickens, Swanson, Ludwig, Perot, those kind of guys who wanted to conquer their business, part of the business world, and for noble purposes. And they were conquering it to make it better, so to speak. And they were trying to have that Alexander mentality. And that was the way Alexander differed from his father Philip, King Philip. When he took over, his father died, he took over, and he wanted to bring all restore the great glory of Greece and all this stuff. And we chose him. And even in that book, The Alexander Complex, there was a paragraph in there that says that if Alexander the Great were alive today, his sprawling holding company, Alexander Inc., blah, 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 would span dozens of industry, business, blah, blah, blah. And it just hit me. I said, that's the idea I want to have. And so that's what I've been preaching to our guys for the last 35 or so years. Is let's have this big idea. Let's have a big idea. Let's go out and become modern day Alexanders. If we're going to copy somebody, if we go copy Napoleon, all we're doing is copying, because he copied Alexander. If we go copy General MacArthur, he copied Alexander. If you copy Patton, he copied Alexander. If you go copy General Schwarzkopf in Desert Storm, he tells you quickly he copied the principles of Alexander the Great. So why don't we just go to the master copy and stop all this other stuff, and let's become modern day Alexanders. If we're going to do that, we need to know the mindset. We need to know the thought patterns. What drove him? So I dove deep into it and dissected what I needed to teach our people the kind of thoughts and all that were in it. And there's many, and you pick out one that's really appropriate for today's world, and where it says I will never forget, and I hope I like that. I never forget that the world is my eminent domain. Today, especially with the internet and the social media world we live in with technology, the world is your prospect list now, and you you got to think that way. That's an Alexander the Great thought. Man, we recruit people today. Next thing you know, they got somebody in Chicago, they got somebody in New York, they got somebody in California, they got somebody in Canada. They're thinking that the world is their eminent domain. Now, there's a law, obviously, and with countries and states and cities, and that are about the eminent domain laws. And I'm not going to get into law, but says that for the greater good, if they have to take your property, they'll give you something of value. They'll move your business. They'll do whatever. But you may have to give up some of your land to cause an airport or a highway or a dam for a river or whatever it's got to be. Most people don't like to give up anything, but there is that since the days of the Greeks, there's been eminent domain, and so we're not in the legal sense here. It's just the big sense that your prospect list, your opportunity is there's not a place in the world that you shouldn't be able to recruit and build. There's not a person out there that you shouldn't be able to go out and see. And if you think that way, now you got that modern day Alexander complex.
Yeah, it's a great way of thinking. That's why I asked that we talked about that, and it's good that you made that distinction between the law part of it and the higher law, which is really just thinking that you could go out there. The world is yours. There's nobody stopping you. There's so much opportunity. There's just so much you can offer and bring people to a great cause, to a great mission. And it's just that. It's just having that mentality that you go out there and conquer your future. Everything is out there. Everything you need is already in you. Every resource already out there.
Yeah, Mauricio, the number one thing that most people got to conquer is themselves, and that's the hardest thing. Most people are where they're at right now because they haven't gone and conquered the first thing they got to conquer is themselves. Cicero, another great Greek philosopher, he said, "Control thyself," meaning conquer thyself. In other words, if you can't first do something about you, if you can't conquer your own fears. If you conquer a fear, it'll disappear. If you before you go and conquer the known world, how about conquer your known self? And that's what. And everybody here can do that. And they just need to realize that inside of everybody is the potential to be great. No matter where you're at in life, there is the potential to be great in anything you choose to do. That's why you were given a free agency, a mindset to where you can choose your own attitude, choose what you want to do, choose to be a proactor, not a reactor. And this whole thing about the eminent domain, the world is your eminent domain, it's just a great force multiplier to have that kind of thinking. And Alexander had it, and he was talking to his team, to his army. He wanted them to never forget that we got a right to go out and conquer the world. He was reminding them why we're going to go to the next country, because it's our eminent domain.
Well, on the other thing about conquering ourselves, and that there's a whole podcast just for that, or maybe hundreds of podcasts just to do that. It's probably one of the. I shouldn't maybe say the most difficult thing to do. It's probably more simple than we think. We just gotta, want to do that. But anyways, that for another day. One of the things that struck me, and I don't remember word per word, but it was one time you invited me to a meeting over in Atlanta, and you said something that it was along the lines of, this is a free country, this is America, and we're going through a challenge, and it struck me, and the reason it struck me is because sometimes we believe that we are limited, or that somebody else ought to dictate like our limit, like where are we going, how far can we go. I don't know if I'm making myself clear here. Like somebody puts this line for you. Could be your teachers, it could be society, it could be a company, it could be something. And so what was clear to me is that you could go above those barriers. The world is the eminent domain. You could do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Well, absolutely, because and again, if you're of the belief that the government is the source of all power, well, there's going to be a lot of propaganda coming out through the media and all, trying to constantly remind you that you do things all for the good of just the government. If you're of a different persuasion, where the people are in charge of this country and Washington works for them, well, then all of a sudden you have more of an entrepreneurial mentality. You have more of this eminent domain type of a feeling than you do. So we're controlled. Let me get this through. We're controlled by these philosophies, and And we're being brainwashed from 24/7 in life about everything, and you got to watch who you associate with. You got to watch who you follow. You got to watch what things you let come into your mind, because they will control you and keep you from thinking these big eminent domain. The world is your prospect.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to get to. That is exactly the thing, because well, I couldn't have said better. What you just said there right now, it was to me, it was a major breakthrough. You can go out there and you could conquer your future. Don't let anybody else tell you can't do it. And so I don't know if there's anything else you want to add today, Hubert. I think it was a great podcast today, packed with a lot of value. And if there's any final thoughts on that.
No, this is just a part of that code of the modern day Alexander, that we've got many parts of it, but this is a preeminent one, in that if those guys were going, the 50,000 disciplined army of Alexander, if he couldn't persuade those guys on that eminent domain, and they had a right, that it was the Greek right to go do that, and that they had the better way, I don't think they would have been powerful. They would have been successful. He would have had a reluctant army. So that's another point here. Is not only do you feel that way, but that if you're building an organization, a sales organization, or a team, or a leadership team, you've got to embed this into their thoughts and their hearts and minds, and show it to them by your performance. And so all of you are moving together in that. So you see what I mean? You've got to get everybody synced up with you to believe that, and that's what he did. He was challenging each one of his generals, his army. Don't forget that the world is our eminent domain.
Exactly.
Because why? He knew they might forget.
Yeah, and with this quote, it basically is just we're able to think out of the box and do things in a complete different way than most, and that's what innovation comes in. That's what ideas come in and everything. So thank you for that, Hubert. It's really, to me, it's life-changing. I used to be inside of a box, and just a simple quote like this, a simple idea like this changes someone's lives. That's phenomenal. Thank you for all that. All right. And before we wrap it up, everybody, just wanted to remind you that there is something taking place in this country right now, and it's pretty big. It's a very big deal. And what it is that there are trillions of dollars that are moving today, and it's just looking for a place where it could be safer. I'm talking those trillions of dollars. It's looking for a place where it can grow. It's looking for a place where more predictability. And Hegemon Group International has mastered a system that can help everybody who gets involved in the money business to be able to be in a position to become a facilitator, to be able to harness the power of all those trillions of dollars that are moving right now into a better place and create a lot of wealth, not just for the people that are looking to get their money to grow and be protected from everything that erodes its value every day, whether that's taxation, inflation, market volatility, excessive fees, etc., but it creates massive wealth for the people that get involved in it. And the system's there. It's got almost 40 years of track record. It's changed the industry every single decade for the last 4 decades in a row. Built 2 multi-billion-dollar market cap companies. So what else do you need me to tell you that, to convince you that you need to go check out the Hegemon Group International? Don't settle for an inferior opportunity. Please don't do that. It is probably the best kept secret, even though the systems has impacted the lives of tens of millions of people. Is still probably one of the best kept secrets out there in the world of opportunities. So if you're looking for a vehicle that can take you from where you are today to where you would like to go check out the Hegemon Group International Opportunity by going to hgiopportunity.com. You will thank me later. Have a record day. Hubert, as always, thank you very much for all you do. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Warning, this podcast may change the way you think about business, entrepreneurship, and money forever. The Conquistador Podcast was created for dreamers, entrepreneurs, and leaders who want to conquer their future. To be an epic entrepreneur, you must adopt the right mental paradigms as well as master the art of selling, marketing, and finance.